Hello and welcome to my YouTube video. Today I'm going to be talking about Xanathar's Guide to Everything. This is just going to go ahead and be on the barbarian class. I'm going to go ahead and read on the three subclasses that are here, and I'm going to pick which one I think would actually be not only the best but also the funnest one to go and play. So, as usual, for everyone who plays as the barbarian class, you actually get to go ahead and pick what your archetype is going to be at 3rd level. So you can go ahead and choose your personal totem, which tattoos and superstitions, which I'm not really going to go ahead and read. But so for the primal path that they have the Ancestral Guardian, Path of the Storm Herald, and the Path of the Zealot. So, for the Path of the Ancestral Guardian, some barbarians hail from cultures that revere their ancestors. These tribes teach the warriors of the past to linger in the world as mighty spirits who can guide and protect the living. When a barbarian follows this path rages, the barbarian contains the spirit world and call on these guardian spirits for aid. Barbarians who draw on their ancestral guardians can better fight to protect their tribes and their allies. In order to cement ties to their ancestral guardians, barbarians who follow this path cover themselves in elaborate tattoos that celebrate their ancestors' deeds. These tattoos tell sagas of victories against terrible monsters and other fearsome rivals. So, I'm just going to go ahead and cover what you actually get yourself as the actual subclass archetype. So, once you reach 3rd level, you get Ancestral Protectors. So, starting when you choose this path at 3rd level, Spectral Warriors appear when you enter your rage. While you're raging, the first creature you hit with an attack on your turn becomes a target of the warriors, which hinder its attacks. Until the start of the next turn, the target has disadvantage on any attack roll that isn't against you. When the target hits a creature other than you with an attack, this creature has resistance to damage dealt by the attack. This effect ends on the target. The effect ends on the target. Okay. The effect on the target ends early if your rage ends. So, in other words, if you wanted to go and attack someone that's going to be extremely powerful, you definitely would want to. Well, it's okay. So this is just something that happens no matter what. Which is actually pretty cool. So, like, let's say, for instance, if you had a wizard who is really weak, that enemy would not only have disadvantage on hitting the wizard or any other creature other than you, but the wizard that the enemy is trying to hit would also have resistance against it, which is absolutely awesome. And it doesn't say it's by any magical means, so that sounds like, of course, you'd have to go and talk to your DM, but that sounds like it would be against everything. When you reach 6th level, you get I guess you could say it's a class feature, called Spirit Shield. Beginning at 6th level, the guardian spirits that aid you can provide supernatural protection to those you defend. If you are raging and another creature you can see within 30 feet of you takes advantage, you can use your reaction to reduce the damage by 2d6. That's pretty cool. When you reach certain levels in the class, so it goes 3d6 when you hit 10th level, and it goes up to 46 when you hit 14th. Which, I mean, is really good. You know, so that's actually pretty cool. So as long as you have any... Wow, and it doesn't even say that you can use this as often as you want to. Oh, wow, that's actually pretty cool. Just reading this. So that's actually pretty damn awesome. I mean, you can go ahead and use your reaction to go ahead and just block out some of the damage. And it doesn't even say it's damage for any type of damage. Alright, then at 10th level, you get Consult the Spirits. You gain the ability to consult with your ancestral spirits. When you do so, you cast an Augury or Clairvoyant spell without using a spell slot or material component. Rather than creating a spherical sensor, this use of Clairvoyance invisibly summons one of your ancestral spirits to the chosen location. Wisdom is your spellcasting ability for these spells. After you cast either spell in this way, you can't use this feature again until you finish a short or long rest. Which is really interesting because the majority of the time, I'm someone who's very new. I've only been playing for, October will be a year. It's September right now. But most of the time, I mean, that's going to be one of your dump stats. It's going to be one of your weaker stats. I mean, your big three, your top three would be your strength, your con, and your dex. And dex is a lot more so just to go and get your AC up, to make you a little bit harder to hit. Obviously your constitution, because you want to be the tankiest of all the barbarians. Which, I mean, not of all the barbarians, but I mean of every single class is where you can take the most damage and be the most powerful. Alright, so back to this. Vengeful Ancestors. At 14th level, your ancestral spirits were powerful enough to retaliate. When you use your spirit shield to reduce damage on an attack, the attacker takes the amount of force damage equal to the damage that your spirit shield prevents. So when you're at 14th level, that means you're blocking 46 points worth of damage. And that creature is taking whatever it was that you rolled of 46 points of force damage. Which, I'm no expert, but I know that force is like maybe within the top three. It's like radiant damage, probably psychic damage, and then force damage. Are going to be like the three least resisted types of damage. So I mean, all in all, this is actually a very good, very awesome class. I'm going to leave for what it is, but I definitely could see a lot of the fun in this, of someone wanting to go and play as a barbarian for the very first time. This would actually be like one of the best ones, at least from Xanathars Guide to Everything. Alright, so now Path of the Storm Herald. All barbarians harbor a fury within. The rage grants them superior strength, durability, and speed. Barbarians who follow the Path of the Storm Herald learn to transform the rage into a mantle of primal magic, which swirls around them. When in a fury, the barbarian of this path taps into the forces of nature to create powerful magic effects. Storm Heralds are typically elite champions who train alongside druids, rangers, and others sworn to protect nature. Other storm druids hone their craft in lodges in regions racked by storms in the frozen reaches at the world's end, or deep in the hottest deserts. And so that's pretty cool. It's the first time I've ever actually seen anything to do with barbarians even training with druids and rangers and others sworn to protect nature, which is actually kind of cool. So I guess maybe in some way it would be very interesting to see a little bit more of a druidic barbarian, not really to go like full on like multi-class type of deal, but like maybe a mix, I guess you can say, between druids and barbarians. You know, just like maybe a little bit more like a nature barbarian or something like that. I'm not really sure. Or maybe a druid that has the ability to actually go out in rage and just be like, by the power of nature, I will smite you, you know, for destroying stuff or whatever. I don't know. Sorry. Anyways, back to this. Okay, so Storm Aura. Starting at 3rd level, you emit a stormy magical aura while you rage. The aura extends 10 feet from you in every direction, but not through total cover. Your aura has an effect that that activates when you enter your rage. You can activate this effect again on each of your turns as a bonus action. Choose Desert, Sea, or Tundra. Your aura's effect depends on the chosen environment as detailed below. You can change your environment choice whenever you gain a level in this class. Your aura's effects require a saving throw, and the DC is 8 plus your proficiency plus your constitution modifier. Which makes sense because obviously, as a barbarian, you want to have the highest constitution. So as high as you can. And that's just because you're going to be that frontline fighter that's going to end up taking the most damage. Alright, so you have the choice between the desert, which when this activated, all creatures in the aura take 2 fire damage. The damage increases when you reach certain levels, increasing it to 3 at 5th level, 4 at 10th, 5 at 15th, and 6 at 20th. Which is still really small. It's kind of disappointing, honestly. The seeing, the effect is activated. When it's activated, you choose one other creature you can see in your aura, which is only 10 feet. The target must make a dex saving throw. The target takes 1d6 lightning on a failed save, or half as much on a successful one. Damage creatures when you reach certain levels: 2d6 on 10th, 3d6 at 15th, and 4d6 at 20th. For the Tundra, this effect is activated. When it's activated, the creature you choose in your aura gains 2 temporary hit points as icy spirits. In order to suffering, the temporary hit points increase when you reach certain levels, increasing to 3 at 5th, 4 at 10th, 5 at 15th, and 6 at 20th. All in all, I would actually go ahead and say the one that would probably be the best one between the desert, the sea, and the tundra, at least for the storm aura. And it's really terrible because it's within 10 feet. So, honestly, I really wish, and I'm actually reading this and I don't see any increase. So, I mean, 10 feet is very small for an aura effect. And due to the fact that unfortunately it does not actually increase, that's the one thing that is very disappointing. But I would actually say, if I was to be me, and I was to go and be a Path of the Storm Herald, I would definitely go and choose my Storm Aura as my third one. And that would just be good. Just to go ahead and have a target take 1d6 in lightning damage at 3rd level. And then it goes up to 2d6 at 10th, 3d6 at 15th, and 4d6 at 20th. That really sounds like the best thing. Because the fact that, like, oh, fire damage. Well, I mean, fire damage is great and everything, but once you're talking about just doing 6 points of fire damage at level 20, there are a lot of things that have resistances to fire in the monster manual. And not to mention also, like, doing that. Although at the same time, you're also talking about lightning, so there are some things that are immune to lightning. Like, for instance, like a gelatinous cube. Any of, like, the pudding type of creatures, they have, immunity to it. The Kraken has immunity to lightning, so it's like, oh, well, that's just pointless at the same time. The other thing, though, too, is that you're talking about getting 2 temporary hit points, which would only be good for your, whatever you want to call it, for your allies, but it's only within 10 feet. And you're talking about, at the most, I mean, 3 at 5th level, 4 extra temporary hit points at 10th level, and, 4 at 10th, 5 at 15th, and 6 at 20th. So, and it doesn't say that you can do it more than once. So it's like, oh, well, you're at level 20, let's say you're maxed out at level 20, and it's like, oh, 6 extra, temporary hit points. I mean, I guess for the wizard, like, that'd be great, but I mean, for everyone else, it's like, 6 points. I mean, by this point in time, you're facing a lot of extra monsters. I mean, you're facing very tough monsters. So I was like, nah, there's just no way. I don't really see it. So that's one of the reasons why I say the sea, just because they have to do the dex saving throw. And yeah, you know, any of these saving throws right now is 8 plus your proficiency bonus and your constitution. So 8 plus your proficiency bonus plus your con modifier. So I'd have to go and look it up at what it would be with your proficiency bonus, but let's just say that the 8 plus your constitution, so let's say you're at 20 without any magical items, so that's 5 right there, so it's 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So that's at least a 13, plus whatever your constitution modifier is. So you could easily, if you're at 20, I mean, you could easily have that very, very high. Enough about that. Okay, so once you hit 6th level, you get Storm Soul. The storm grants you benefits even when your aura is inactive, which is pretty cool. I like that. Benefits based on the environment you choose. So when you do desert, you gain resistance to fire damage, and you don't suffer from extreme heat. And that is actually described in the Dungeon Master's Guide. Moreover, as an action, you can touch a flammable object that isn't worn or carried by anyone else and set it on fire. Okay, I mean, no, like I said, I'm very new to it, so I don't really know exactly how well that would really work and help out. C, you gain resistance to lightning damage, which is awesome. And you gain, you can breathe underwater. You also gain a swimming speed of 30 feet. The ability to go and have lightning resistance is awesome. The fact that you can just go and breathe underwater, despite of whatever your race is or whatever, you know, the fact that you don't have to have, like, let's say, someone like the Druid, go ahead and actually cast water breathing, or whoever else in the party that actually does have the ability to go and cast water breathing. You yourself are just like, hey, I'm taken care of. And you also have a swimming speed of 30 feet. So, I mean, yeah, that's pretty good. I mean, like, if you decided to, like, let's say you wanted to be, like, a halfling, what's the proper word for it? Let's say you want to just go and be, like, a halfling barbarian. You know, you actually have a swimming speed that's actually larger than what your walking speed is, which is really cool. So the Tundra. You gain resistance to cold damage, which is pretty cool. You don't suffer from extreme cold, as described in the Dungeon Master's Guide. Moreover, as an action, you can touch water. You turn a 5-foot cube into ice. It melts after a minute. This action fails if a creature is in the cube. Okay, that's interesting. Shielding Storm. At 10th level, you learn the use of your... Okay, so just to go ahead and go back, because I already know I'm going to end with this. For Storm Soul, I think really, in a lot of ways, all this is really good. I think it really just depends, like, on where you're going to be at. If you know you're going to be in a place that's going to be really hot, the desert is going to be absolutely amazing. Especially having the fire resistance. There's so many monsters out there that actually do fire damage. So actually have fire resistance, along with when you rage as any barbarian, you already have resistance to bludgeoning, non-magical bludgeoning, piercing, and you already have those resistances to the damage that every single class gets when you're raging. So, you know, having that is pretty awesome. The fact that you don't suffer from the effects of the extreme heat, which is pretty cool. The same thing with, like, hey, if you're going out to sea, you can at least have resistance to lightning. Because if it was me as a DM, I would actually go ahead and make it to where if you were in water, or really if anyone was in water, if you're talking about even a sea creature, if that creature does not have immunity to lightning damage, then they should actually have they should actually take double lightning damage. And if they have resistance, I would say because you're in water, you would actually end up taking, well, on a legendary creature, I guess I'd just leave it alone. But I would probably say that they would end up taking normal damage. Also, the Tundra, this is pretty awesome. So if you're in somewhere that's really snowy, hey, you don't have to worry about being super cold. You know, you can just be like, oh, I'm just fine being out here, you know, pretty much being you know, without any armor on and barely any clothes, and just like, I feel I feel okay. Everyone looking at everyone else and just shivering and. Alright, so Shielding Storm. At 10th level, you learn the mastery of the storm to protect others. Each creature of your choice has the damage you gain from the Storm Soul feature while the creature is in your Storm Aura. So, yeah, that's pretty good. I would say that this feature for this class is a lot more gained towards when you're traveling. So, I mean, hey, once you're at 10th level, if everyone's out there in the desert, nobody has to worry about, like the heavily armored paladin or cleric doesn't have to worry about being super hot, or, you know, someone else, the wizard, just wearing commoner's clothes, doesn't have to worry about being super cold if you do the tundra. And so the other thing that's cool though too, creature has, okay, so it's just the damage resistance. So I mean, if you do the sea, then everyone will have lightning, if they're at least within that 10 foot. So at 14th level, the power of the storm you channel grows mightier, lashing out at your foes. Your effect is based on the environment you choose from your storm aura. Desert. Immediately after the creature in your aura hits you with an attack, you can use your action to force that creature to make a dex saving throw. On a failed save, the creature takes fire damage equal to half of your barbarian level. So if we're talking about right at 14, so that would mean that they would take 7 points of damage. That's only on a failed save. So I guess if they make it, it means that they don't take anything. But then they also, the other thing though too, is that, let's see. See, and that's another bad thing though too about being in the desert and or at least for the desert for level 3. I'm looking back on. It says all other creatures. So that means if you're a barbarian and you got your rogue right next to you, that means the rogue is going to go ahead and actually take the fire damage as well. That's terrible. You should be able to at least be able to choose, you know, especially for your ally's sake. Anyways, back to Raging Storm at 14th level. The sea. When you hit a creature in your aura with an attack, you can use your reaction to force that creature to make a strength saving throw. On the fail save, it is knocked prone as if struck by a wave. I mean, you know, that's pretty cool. The only time that would really suck is whenever you're fighting a creature that actually has immunity to the prone condition. So that kind of sucks. I mean, if you choose the Tundra, whenever the effect of your storm aura is activated, you can choose one creature you can see in the aura. That creature must succeed on a strength saving throw, or its speed is 0 until the start of your next turn, as magical frost covers it. So the only thing that really kind of sucks about the Tundra, I would say, and I know obviously you'd have to go and talk to your DM, but in my personal opinion, it sounds like if it's going to be a strength is going to be 0, I mean a speed is going to be 0, and it says as magical frost covers it. So wouldn't that mean that it would be restrained and you would have advantage on it? At least in my personal opinion, that's what I think it would be. So that's very interesting. So now, Path of the Zealot in 24 minutes. Path of the Zealot. Some deities inspire their followers to pitch themselves into a ferocious battle. These barbarians are zealots, warriors who channel their rage into powerful displays of divine power. A variety of gods across the worlds of D&D inspire these followers to embrace their path. Tempest from the Forgotten Realms, and Hextor, and Irthonol of Greyhawk are all prime examples. In general, the gods who inspire zealots and deities of combat, destruction, and violence. Not all are evil, but few are good. Erythnul is Erythnul. I'm not really sure how to pronounce that. Please tell me in the comments on how good or bad I did on that. I really want to know because I'm pretty sure I butchered it up terribly. Alright, so Divine Fury, starting when you choose this path at 3rd level. You can channel Divine Fury into your weapon. While you're raging, the first creature you hit on each of your turns takes, with the weapon attack, takes extra damage equal to 1d6 plus half your barbarian level. The extra damage is necrotic or radiant. You choose the type of damage when you gain this feature. Now this is one thing I really do like. If we're talking about regular, I need to go and look at all the paladin classes, but from what I know from the paladin, because of the current campaign that I am in as a player, one of my friends, he is a dragonborn paladin, and so he has the ability to use the spell slot to go ahead and do radiant damage, which, I mean, yeah, of course you're only talking about 1d6 plus half your barbarian level worth of damage, but I mean, very few things have any resistance to radiant damage, and then necrotic damage is going to be really good against something like a celestial. So that is one thing I really do like, and another thing I really like is the fact that it says that it just says a weapon attack. So if I go and if I take a javelin and I throw it at a mind flare, that means that mind flare is, as long as I hit it, that mind flare is going to take an extra 1d6 plus my barbarian level of radiant damage, or necrotic, depending on what I want to choose, which is really cool. I really like this a lot. I mean, especially at 3rd level. You know, I mean, this is really, really good. This is something else. So, Warrior of the Gods. Okay, at 3rd level, your soul is marked for endless battle. If a spell such as Raise Dead has a if a spell such as Raise Dead has a soul effect of restoring you to life, but not undeath, the caster doesn't need material components to cast the spell on you. That's pretty cool. But it just really depends on your DM. For us, as of yet, we don't use material components to cast spells. I think it really just depends on your DM on what you actually want to do. I know that some people, they'll have stuff like weight limit, and not just on what you can carry, but also on your gold, and just a whole bunch of other things, you know, saying that, oh, here's your daily upkeep. You got to go ahead and make sure to, you know, to spend X amount of gold per night in order to make sure that you have a place at the tavern, you know, a room in the tavern, so this way you have a place to sleep at night. It just really depends on how much immersion, I guess, you really want to do, but I mean, it's cool. But anyways, moving on. Fanatical Focus. Starting at 6th level, your divine power, the divine power that fuels your rage, can protect you. If you fail a saving throw while you're raging, you can re-roll it and must use a new roll. You can use this ability only once per rage. So, in some ways, this is really cool. This is almost like the Lightfoot Halfling's lucky trait, or lucky feat. Racial feat? Yeah, lucky racial feat. You know, the fact that if you roll, well, actually this in some ways is kind of better. Because as long as you fail it, that means you can only do it. But you can only do it once per. So, it is pretty cool. Especially when you hit 20th level, I know that you have an endless amount of rage. So you can just go ahead and just be like, one turn, get out of it, and then come right back in on your next turn. So, you know, that's pretty cool. 10th level, Zealous Presence. At 10th level, you learn to channel divine power to inspire zealotry in others. As a bonus action, you release a battle cry infused with divine energy. Up to 10 other creatures of your choice within 60 feet, that's pretty good, of you that can hear you gain advantage on attack rolls and saving throws until the start of your next turn. Once you use it, you can't use it again. Once you use this feature, you can't use it again until you finish the long rest. So, I guess that would be something that I myself would go ahead and use when it is in a time of, pretty much in a time of, you know, hey, we got to make sure to beat this guy. this creature before we go and take a long rest, or in a particularly hard fight. So it's definitely worth it. I mean, it kind of does suck that you have to do a long rest, but hey, there's a lot of things in D&D that's like, most of the spellcasters, you can't even get your spell slots back until you finish a long rest. So I guess this really depends on your party. Rage of Death. Beginning at 14th level, the divine power that fuels your rage allows you to shrug off fatal blows. While you're raging, having 0 hit points doesn't knock you unconscious. You must still make death saving throws, and you suffer normal effects of taking damage, while at 0 hit points. However, if you would die due to failing saving throws, you don't die until your rage ends, and you die only if you still have 0 hit points. I'm not really too sure on this, so I guess, it sounds pretty cool, but if anyone knows a little bit better, let me know. One thing I will go ahead and say, I do like this class. The only thing that kind of does suck about having the Divine Fury is the fact that unfortunately it doesn't actually gain any more, unlike the other classes do. It's cool to do 1d6 plus your, plus half of your barbarian level. So if you're at level 20, you're doing 1d6, and if you're at 20th level, that's plus 10, which is pretty cool. But it's not that great. The thing that I like about it is if I go back here and I look at the Path of the Storm Herald, and then I go to the sea, the fact is that the target will take 1d6 lightning damage on a failed save, or half as much on a successful one, and it increases from, so at 3rd level, it increased from 1d6 to 2d6 at 10th, 3d6 at 15th, and 46 at 20th. So a lot of ways, I kind of feel like it would be really cool, but I'm pretty sure there would be some people that would go and say, well, that's really overpowered, to go ahead and actually have your Divine Fury as a Path of the Zealot actually go up. Maybe 3d6 by the time you hit level 20 or something. That, to me, I think that would have been pretty cool to go and have it. But then again, hey, to be a barbarian, actually do necrotic or radiant damage and not have a magical weapon or some magical item that would actually give you that ability to go ahead and do that, it's still pretty cool. So honestly, I would say all in all, between the 3 classes, between going with the Path of the Ancestral Guardian, the Path of the Storm Herald, or the Path of the Zealot, I personally, in my personal opinion, let me know in the comments down below if you guys, on which of the 3 you would actually prefer, which of the 3 you would